evening. Thanks for joining us for the July 23rd Board of Selectmen meeting. If everybody would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start off this evening with a public hearing to receive comment regarding a zone change to expand the village zone to include map 25, lot 11. So we'll open the public hearing. And I understand, Tom, you wanted to give us a little background on this to start with.
Good evening, Town Administrator, Board of Selectmen. On this aerial photograph, it shows the subject parcel that's up for rezoning. The rezoning is to take here's a survey plan that was provided to me by Mr. Whitson. Shows there are approximately 22 acres of land that's currently zoned AR, agricultural residential. It has frontage on Bennett Hill Road. Geographically, the property lies generally north of the Goodall complex. Across the street or adjacent to the property is the JD Holdings, Mr. Allen's property. Across the street, Hannaford, and the Donut complex here. Town Holdings, and Mr. Malone owns this tract of land here. There's a 50-foot right-of-way that comes right back down to Route 5. The applicant has proposed both to the Planning Board and to the Board of Selectmen and requested change of zone to a village. The Planning Board has met and has offered its recommendation 5-0 in favor of this rezoning. Additionally, the 2020 Master Planning Committee has been analyzing this whole area of East Waterboro for potential business uses, and it also advocates this change of zone, and myself as town planner 100% endorses this change of zone to the village zone. It's been a long process, but we're at the point now where we've done a very thorough analysis, and I find that everybody's supportive of this type of use, and it fits into the larger scheme of business park planning in the community. So it has full endorsement from all planning sectors, and I can answer any questions as well as the Smith-Whitson family is here to answer any.
Board have any questions?
A couple is, would this be considered on our part to be spot zoning on this? I know that we've tried to stay away from having, spot zoning here and there, that we wanted the planning board to make some large-scale investigations on that too, so that we didn't get into having spot zoning. And the question was raised to me about this particular parcel here. Is there some type of sail in the wind here that, for commercial purposes, that perpetuated this request for the change here, or how did that come about?
Selectman Bluefield, you've asked several questions. I'll start with the last one first. I'm not aware of any potential sale. We've reviewed it only on the merits of, is it good planning to move this from an agricultural residential zone to a village zone? The answer to that is yes. The other question you had, is it spot zoning? In my opinion, it's not. This follows a sequence of zone changes that have happened. The first one being JD's here, okay? Because the back portion of JD's also was zoned agricultural residential. And the town administration, the board of, the planning board, the planning department, all felt that that was a logical change. In early years, when people did zoning, they sometimes took geographical boundaries. In the case of the town of Waterboro, followed that course of that water line of the brook that runs through here, and that kind of separated the two zones. And that was a common thinking back in the 70s and 80s. But now as we look at all the physical attributes of the property and the ability to develop high and dry and premium pieces of real estate into commercial properties, we're realizing that the depth of these properties needs to be a lot more extensive in order to accommodate not only the facility, but the subsurface systems as well as the parking areas. So it's perfectly logical to follow the sequence of the town endorsed the JD rezoning here, for this rezoning here. And in response to your third question, it was a directive from the Board of Selectmen actually several years ago to look at the broader picture. And part of that broader picture brought us full circle from the Board of Selectmen to the Planning Board and the Planning Board to the 2020 Master Planning Committee. And we finally have arrived at what is that bigger picture. Although we can't act on it this evening because this is an applicant-driven request, as we unfold within the next half an hour to hour, one of our new chapters in the 2020 Master Planning Committee's works, we'll see that the bigger picture really encompasses even more than the Smith-Woodson property in terms of looking at the bigger business picture, and which I think will ultimately drive, depending on the planning board's position and the administration's position, a much larger area that might be one of the town's opportunities for business park development. So, long answer to two short questions, but spot zoning, I would say not, because it's all fitting into a sequential pattern. When you have an applicant-driven property, if it doesn't butt up to an existing zone, then some people would say that that might look like spot zoning. My response would be 100% no, it's not spot zoning.
I just didn't want to get the implication that we had on the JD property that we were engaged in spot zoning. So if in your opinion, the planning board's opinion, that this isn't, that's sufficient.
Yeah. It becomes delicate when we come into that, you know, we're now 20 years into existing ordinances and map work and proposed zones, and it's time to re-look at what areas need to be expanded, and this is one of them in town.
Any other questions from the board?
Did I answer all your questions, Courtney?
Yep, yes, you did, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Tim, did you want to say anything on behalf of the planning board?
Well, I don't have much to add. I do agree with Tom that it's an expansion of the zone. So I know a lot of people are sensitive to that thing about spot zoning. We have had meetings about looking at the whole area. We had a little problem coming to a consensus, but we're still moving ahead with that. As many planning board members as possible are going to attend the next 2020 meeting, and we're going to try to all agree on what we're looking at for that area. So hopefully that will be coming up, that we'll be looking at rezoning that whole parcel, including the town-owned land. And that's it.
Is there any member of the public that would like to comment? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 6:05. Moving on to the agenda, we have no announcements this evening. We did have an appointment scheduled, however, that has been postponed to August 5th. 6th. Okay. Hearing a delegation, would anybody like to speak?
I would just like to, I had a call from a citizen that was concerned about this new cable box that's for Time Warner. And I don't see this individual here, but I'm going to ask David Lowe to explain what is involved and what they can do, because I think it has been extended. Dave?
Time Warner is going away from the analog system to a purely digital system, basically because they can squeeze a number of digital channels into a single analog channel. So it opens up a lot of bandwidth and gives them other uses for that. If you currently run a television where you have the cable plugged directly into the back of your TV, you're going to need some type of a digital box. Right now, and I believe through the end of the year, it's at least through late September, but possibly through the end of the year. I'd suggest taking it up on the September side because you have a couple of months to get this done now. Time Warner is giving the digital adapter box for free to anyone who asks. There's a phone number on the website, and there's also a website address on the town website where you can go ahead and order it online or call in and get it, or just call your cable provider and tell them you need a digital adapter for your TV. If you don't get one, you're going to lose the local channels, because that's the main thing that it affects, is the public access, government channels, school channels, and that those types of things. It is free right now. There's no monthly charge for it. However, in 2015, January 1st, they're going to start charging you for the box. But it's 99 cents a month. It's not a huge charge, but they are going to start charging to use the box. So, if you have a digital television, you can do a channel search. I believe you need to do this tomorrow because we're still okay tonight, but after today was supposed to be the cutoff date. Tomorrow, you can do a channel search and it'll pull those public access channels back in, but on a different channel. Those numbers are on the town website as well. I don't remember them offhand, but they're 111-1 and -2 and some odd numbers that I'm not familiar with particularly. But so take a look on the town website. You can certainly give me a call if you need to. Extension 105 at the town hall, and I'll help you get through it if you need any more information on that. But you do need a digital adapter. Those are the two words you need to remember.
Dave?
Yes.
Was this a part of the new contract? They want to know why this happened and why did we let it happen? I don't know if we had any.
Yeah, we have absolutely no authority over what Time Warner does with the airwaves. I mean, they have complete control over those. They own them. It's between them and the federal government how they can go ahead and use them. There's nothing that the town can do about it. We have zero say in the matter. They just said, we can fit 9 channels, I think it is, in one analog channel. So that was that, and some of that bandwidth gets freed up for other uses, whether it's more cable channels or whether it's going back for internet broadband use. It frees up bandwidth, and that's what they're trying to do, really. So,
Thank you.
Dave, what you just said, my guess is half the people out listening don't have a clue as to whether they have a digital system or don't have a digital system, and they don't have a clue what to look for, and when it goes out, they're mad.
right.
And so what you just said, look for a digital adapter, huh?
That's why I'm saying if you already have a box if you have a cable box, right, you plug your cable into a cable box and then it goes to your TV, you should be okay. If you don't have anything, you just plug your cable into your TV and whatever channels you get is what you get, then you need the box. That's really who it affects. It's the ones that are typically just plugging the cable in. They have no box. They're not subscribing to a lot of HBO and all this junk, So it's when the cable plugs right into your TV, you need a box. Or if you suddenly don't see the town meeting showing, you probably need a box.
Okay, thank you, David. Was there somebody else that I saw pop a hand up wanted to speak?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I had some questions. When are you gonna vote as to whether this becomes village zone or not on that lot?
It's under our new business this evening.
On the new business
Yes.
tonight?
Yep.
Okay. I got one more thing I'd like to say. Been many, many years since I've been to a selectmen's meeting. And I always sat on the other side of the table. And I look at the faces there, I see one face that served on the board with me. I think we made one hell of a man out of him.
He's still with
Because he used to referee Bob Fay and myself at many a meeting. And Mr. Lamb, I want to congratulate you. If you just become half of what your grandfather was, you're going to be one heck of a administrator.
I learned a lot from that man.
He was a sweetheart.
Yep.
I had him as a teacher, and he was number one. And he always told me, if you don't learn something today, you've had a bad day. And I want you to remember that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I still can't speak in full sentences.
All right, moving on, correspondence. We have the treasurer's reports. We have Representative Libby's newsletter. We have information regarding the Maine residents' property tax and rent refund circuit breaker program that was recently repealed and replaced by the property tax fairness credit.
Tammy, can you just give a quick analysis of that?
You know, we've got Jerry coming in,
Okay.
and I was hoping I was going to hit Jerry up for that because that is going to impact a lot of people. We have the motor vehicle agent reports and the assessor agent sales ratio analysis report. Moving on under reports and staff initiative, assessor's agent, and I think Christina's going to run to go get him. And we've got Jerry coming in to review the sales ratio analysis report. I have to. There he is.
Beethoven had to turn the elevator music on there.
Just hung a sign up, says attending meeting. I was there. Well, thank you for this opportunity, members of the board, Chairman Gerard, and Gary. You have the sales ratio analysis report. It can be kind of boring. I'm going to try to make it not so boring. It's pretty much the report on the health of the assessing for the town of Waterboro. And the Department of Revenue Property Tax Division does the hard work. They come in every year and look at our sales. They also look at our assessments, and they make comparisons. And this year, when they looked at our sales and compared them with our assessments, they came up with an average ratio of about 108.6% and a quality rating of 11. Now, quality ratings are important because that pretty much tells the story of, are the assessments in the town equitable? And when I get to the chart, I think you'll see that we're striving to do that, and we're pretty much in the ballpark. They used 29 sales to come up with that conclusion. I did our own report with Trio. We used 12, I'm sorry, not 12 sales. I can't see the sales. 55 sales. And the ratio was 113.6. I use maybe 6 months more ahead than they do. They're behind maybe 6 months or plus, minus. And the Department of Revenue does not allow us to use short sales, bank sales, distressed sales, any of those. And that's why you end up at times looking at 3 dozen sales that come in a month, and you have to discard almost 2/3 only because of these items. The state requires, or statutes require, that we maintain a 70% minimum ratio. And we have a quality rating that does not go above 20. Once it goes above 20, the state determines then at that time that the town's assessments are no longer equitable, and you have to take measures to do that. A revaluation would be one measure. And down in the last paragraph, Zillow, a national real estate company, I think you have that in your package, indicates that the average listing price for property in Waterboro had gone down from $224,900 in 2008 to $188,000 in 2013. And I think I showed you almost every year from that point. It kind of went up and down. What this report indicates is that our assessments are above market. The market seems to be trending upwards. What it will do in the next year is not fully known. If I can step over to the chart, I think it's in the right place. Thought I had it in the right place. What you have here is we had a revaluation in 2008. This 70% line that's in red, the state wants towns, all towns, cities too, to maintain their assessments above the 70% line. We did that with a revaluation in 2007. In the very next year, the values, believe it or not, were ahead of us by 5%. Going down means that our assessment, the property values are going up. When you're coming up on this chart, it means that the property values are going higher. We had an assessment ratio of 107%, then 106%, and you can see we're kind of leveling regardless of what the market is doing. Remember, the state checks on us annually with these sales ratio reports. In 2011, we started to climb, which meant that the market values were declining still. Interestingly enough, in 2012, it looks like if we maintain that course, in 2015 we'll be at 105%. It's not where we want to be. Where we want to be is down here, somewhere back to the 100% level that we started with when we hit the revaluation in 2007. It may, I think, if the market still declines, we'll be going the wrong way. And this will put us up to about 115% or thereabouts. That means we'll be 15% above market with our assessments. And it may be a time when we'll have to look at the situation and see if we can continue at that level or we make a correction. And that correction is something that the board would have to decide somewhere down the road. And that is the end.
No, they're clearing the markets are going back up again,
Slowly.
slowly. I mean, slower than Maine and other places, but it is climbing a little.
Right.
So that should help.
It will. It will put us aiming down back towards the 100% as opposed to up into the 115. This will be drastic. If you can see, the changes by year are not drastic. They seem to stay level except for this past year. But I think that may have been something that did not reflect the beginning of the increase in values, real estate values. And if that takes place, then it will turn us towards the right way.
It's still a 3-year average, right? I mean, it's still a 3-year running average, so.
It's 2 years on the state.
Okay. So, if prices start up in 1 year, it's not gonna affect us until the following year, right?
Right. If you look at the revaluation, when we went up to the 100%,
Prices
the
went up.
very
the
next
following
year, the market indicated that we were not. It was a 5% difference in that 1 year. So this is really just a correction of 07, I'm sorry. So it took us a year to find out this. The correction.
Any questions for Jerry?
Other than the circuit breaker
Yeah.
question.
Well, I think that there was a question.
Yeah, I do have a question.
Yes.
What, does the assessed value or the town of Waterboro have to do with how much we generate from the state and how much do we generate from the state on different, revenues that are based on our valuation?
The state determines the town's valuation.
Wait, no, you've got 100% sitting right there, okay?
Yep.
Of valuation.
Yep.
Okay? That's locked in with the state, right? And that should have a base of what we get back on schools, what we get back on roads, what we get back on other things. That's got revenue coming back on valuation.
Yeah, it's called the state valuation though. The state determines their own valuation.
How can they go beyond 100% when you're already there and now you're down below 100%?
Because they're going by the market, maybe, just
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, but how come we didn't get revalued and drop our
Well,
valuation?
you can do that. You can, as this went up, we could have said, let's drop everybody's value by 10%, and the tax rate would have gone up.
The more valuation you got, the less revenue you're gonna get from the state on.
But the state
Revenue.
the state fixes that number. So the state is saying that's what the number is, and that's what that's what we're gonna get. It's like when Steve Rogers used to come down here and we used to argue with him years ago. Same group.
Well, yeah, Steve Rogers, we used to go to Augusta as a board of selectmen and represent the town of Waterboro to get our valuation down.
Yeah, but I think those were the days when they didn't have computers, and today, every sale that happens at the closing.
You mean to tell me you can't take your computer and go back down to Augusta and fight that? Because I bet you $5 right today that you could go to Augusta and get at least $100,000 knocked off it every year. Without even giving an argument about it.
We don't have to Augusta, they don't have to go to Augusta. The gentleman comes to town with his own computer.
Yeah, but you've got a board down there too, that you can go in front of if you don't agree with this one man that comes to you.
Yeah, but you gotta have cause.
Yeah.
And you
gotta have a cause.
don't have cause if you got figures like that.
If you've got a decrease in valuation right there, you've got a cause. You ride through town and see how many houses are for sale and how many houses are not selling.
But that's not what's being used here, it's the ones that are selling. The ones that are being listed are not showing up here at all.
And then how much are they dropping though from what they've asked for that? How much do they have to drop compared to what they are assessed at?
For what reason?
What reason? Because they can't get it from the general public to pay for what you got it assessed for.
Okay, so you're talking about a short sale?
I'm talking all sales.
Okay, all sales are here, excepting for the 15% that are too high,
and the 15% that are too low. But they're all in here. Only the ones that sell that are not foreclosures, short sales, family sales, those are not reflected here. But these are sales.
A sale is a sale.
A sale is, well, no, not the foreclosure. Foreclosures and short sales are not reflected. And the state doesn't want the towns to include them in their analysis. So it isn't us.
Which really isn't right, because you got Lake Arrowhead up there, and 2 or 3 years ago, you had over 300 homes. It was either short sales or foreclosures, and that's our community. That's the sales market, and that was your affordable housing here in town, and those sales should be, and it's going to take some politicians up in Augusta to change that, but all sales should be included in that to come up with 100%.
Right, I think you're right.
You know,
Wayne, I think but that has to happen at the state level,
Right.
for them to realize that, hey, the times, you know, the amount of short sales or foreclosures and everything else statewide have, in essence, affected this whole formula. This formula didn't work, you know, didn't take into consideration that we would have this kind of a downturn in the housing market.
And Jerry just said it, you've got to shake out 40% of the sales, because they're either short sales or they're family sales or they're bankruptcies, and no matter where you go in the state of Maine, you have the same
You got
market.
a 60% accuracy.
Yeah.
I look at this board, how much noise has been made out of the board right here to go to Augusta and say, we need something done. I got a hold of our representatives and said, hey, we're behind the 8 ball down here, we want something done about valuation, and get some representation to get the ball rolling. This has been going on for quite a while now. That we've been assessed in the town of Waterboro for more than what we can actually sell our property for.
But you're going to find that in the towns around us. We're not the only town. You're going to find it's probably worse in the southern part of Maine, because this is where all the activity took place. If you go to Millinocket, I'm not sure what's happening there.
Millinocket, they'll give you a house to just get rid of it. You pay to have the deed made out.
They'll even pay the first year. They'll probably pay for the trip, yeah.
Jerry, give your phone bill.
Yeah.
I mean, we have spoken to our representatives, Billy, and I mean, on a monthly basis this past winter. And it's just like everyone else. The state is scratching and digging for money anywhere they're gonna get it, and you think you're gonna get a break, you got another thought coming. No matter how much noise you raise, it's not gonna do anything. Unless there's a statewide uproar, and it hasn't happened.
There is a York County advocacy group that meets when the legislation is in session. We meet on a monthly basis. They try to meet on Saturdays so that as many representatives from the municipalities can attend as possible, because they recognize typically councilors and selectmen are people that are out working in the public. I did attend all of those meetings, and valuation was discussed to some extent, but the state is having money problems, and as they looked at a various array of problems, it was something that was discussed. And the other communities are having the same
We're just going to live with a fictitious
issues.
figure as far as valuation goes. That's what we're doing right today. You've got a fictitious figure that you're using. It's not a true figure.
I think the state's been notorious for fictitious figures.
Whatever is their
Their
benefit.
school budgeting formula has been fictitious since they initiated it. And so are a number of their other programs where they said they're going to give you X number of dollars, and that is not borne fruit, as we're now dealing, and we're now having to live with it. So, Jim?
Whoops, sorry, Tim?
Jerry, do you have an estimate on what it would cost to do a reevaluation?
Today's prices?
Ballpark?
250, 300,000?
And then even if we end up doing a reevaluation and we adjust the values of the properties, it still doesn't change what residents are paying in taxes, because even if you look at changing the valuation, you're gonna have to increase the mill rate.
Plus, we'll be paying it for the reevaluation.
Yeah, and we have, you know, certainly my friend Mr. Woodson's signature is on a number of those assessments, as mine was in the past, where we've had this inequity and we've raised just across the board, we've taken a percentage and it was always going the other way though.
Right.
We were always well below market assessment, so we would raise everybody's assessment by 10% or 20% or 30% across the board, right? Which is legal to do and everything else, but all that does is it changes the assessment and the mill rate has to adjust to, because everybody's gonna still pay the same amount of tax, basically.
Plus, we're out
Right.
the money we spend on the reevaluation. That's my point, is
Right.
what you gain, really.
What you gain is that if there is a specific market in town, right, be it lakefront property, we'll say, or village property, or something that is way out of whack compared to the rest of it, that's where the inequity will start to level out. So whoever is the worst in equity is gonna get hit the hardest. Their taxes are gonna change, basically. So, and you see that even when the reval happened in 2007. There were people that were affected, categories of properties that were affected more so than others, because it had been so long since it had been done.
Now Dennis, you just made a point
Yep.
that we used to go 10, 15, 20%, okay? What's wrong with today going 10, 15% the other way? And
We
see what
can
the state does
do
with
that on our books, Bimmy. It's not gonna change what they think in Augusta at all. They're gonna say,
If
this
you
is
can
the.
prove to them that that's what we got for evaluation.
I would agree,
yeah.
but the State Board of Assessment Review is a very inactive board, because they're just blowing off all the assessments.
I'd try them.
I mean, the only time that we were successful was when John Monteith happened to be on the board up there.
Right.
So,
Jerry, moving on, can you talk about the circuit breaker program? Not to put you on the spot.
They changed it
They changed it.
to, they won't be sending the forms out in August, and you won't be able to apply for it as you normally did in the past. People that are earning more than 40,000, I believe, are out. The other thing is, it's gonna be part of your state income tax. You're gonna have to file, even though you're not filing an income tax, you're still gonna have to file one of their forms. I think we have some information here on the exact details.
The maximum amount, I believe you can get is, in refund is 300.
300 or 400?
And if you're
470.
65?
70, I think you can get 400, that's what I thought it said.
So for folks that were qualifying for that, the circuit breaker as it was, what kind of a change are they going to see in their property taxes?
Geez, that's a hard question to answer, because I'm not sure what the circuit breaker paid as a, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It didn't affect the local property tax. They got the check directly from Augusta, so I'm not sure what the, all I know is that if you earn more than 40, you're out. So those would be a lot of folks. I think the limit in the old days was 85, wasn't it? 80, 85,000 for a family or two?
So from what I understand, it's not reducing your taxes. What you're getting it is a rebate through you're not getting your property tax reduced. You're getting a rebate through your income tax.
Yeah.
It's a refundable credit through the
Yeah.
income tax.
Yeah, this,
Less people are eligible.
For those people who are eligible.
this,
Under
this
$40,000.
goes for renters as well as homeowners.
Right, it's a renter's property tax circuit breaker.
All it is, you're gonna get a lot less, and there'll be a lot less people involved.
Okay. Anything else, Jared?
The only thing I was gonna say about the good old days, when we did, I was around for a couple of years, we would we would change, bump the assessments to maybe 70%, and then it would drop because the market was really good. And you do that for a few years. But the only problem is you were hovering in that area where the state says assessments below 70% are a problem. They're a real problem. There aren't too many municipalities in the state of Maine that are below the 70. They're up in here somewhere. Probably because of revaluations or to catch up with the market. When we did have the revaluation, property values were at 50%. The tax rate was, what was it, $31, $32 per thousand. We went to 100% of value, and the tax rate dropped to around 12. So it was not a big difference to those that were not living on the lake, unfortunately. The lakefront property did go up more than the regular property. But what we're trying to show is even though you're playing with percentages, it's really going to reflect in the tax rate. The tax rate is the real issue, and the tax rate is what governs what you're going to pay.
All right, thank you, Barry. Moving on, 2020 Master Planning Committee. Bob?
I'm going to do kind of a two-tier deal. I'm going to give you a quick overview of what we've done, what we're doing, and what we hope to do. And Tom is going to bring you up to date on specifically what we've done in the very near past with the Soul Company. Just quickly, going back, we started in the summer of 2010. We reviewed the town's comprehensive plans that were available to us. We developed a vision statement which has served as a guideline for all of our actions. We held a series of visioning sessions in which we obtained information about how people felt about the town. We developed a chapter on energy with the help of Woodward and Kern. We developed a chapter on villages with the help of the Conway School. Last fall, we started working with the Soul Company on the infrastructure chapter, and that was a major undertaking. We've also been working on several other chapters that are relatively minor in nature compared to the energy, villages, and infrastructure projects. You received our chapter on population last week, and another chapter on recreational facilities was approved by the committee at our July 15th meeting, and we'll get copies of it to you as soon as it's printed. At our next meeting on August 12th, we'll update the status of the other chapters that the subcommittees have been working on, and we'll refine our timelines and strategies for completing them. Everything that we've done so far and everything that we'll do in the future will be developed in both a hard and digital format. So that should be helpful to everybody. Finally, the committee has established a relationship with the planning board which pleases our committee very much. In fact, the two members, as you know, of the planning board also serve on our committee, and they have been they've had a very positive effect on what we've been able to do. On kind of a negative note, we've attempted to establish a relationship with the water district and have made some progress, but they really need to attend all of our meetings. And I guess what we would ask is, can you, as the Board of Selectmen, assist us in improving their participation in our planning? We still have a long way to go in working and planning together in the area of water, and we feel the best way to serve the needs of the town for us and the water district to work together. So that's a real quick overview of what we've done, where we are now, and Tom is going to fill you in on what we've done with Soul Company this past year.
So just real quick, I know the board contacted the water district in the past. We've sent them correspondence asking them to participate with the 2020 committee. What level of participation have you had?
The superintendent has attended a couple of meetings, I think, and was helpful to us. And now we haven't seen them for a couple of meetings, I guess.
Well, there's a trustee sitting here tonight, so I would assume that the message could be passed on to Mr. Goviel, and he could pass it on to his two associates. That
Will do.
When is your next meeting? Maybe
August
Bob can
12th.
make it.
They have received copies of all of our agendas and all of our minutes. And I personally went to one of their meetings and pleaded with them to participate. And I know other people have made contacts with them.
All right, thanks, Bob. Tom?
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for that good overview. I think it's helpful to our new town administrator to kind of set a little bit of context of where we've been and where we're heading. The study that you see in front of you, and just one other thing for our town administrator, Gary, we've, that being the staff and the 2020 Master Planning Committee, have attempted to tackle this, put our arms around comprehensive planning on a chapter-by-chapter basis. And that way we can keep our focus on starting something and finishing it, rather than looking at the broad brush of comprehensive planning. We're tackling it detail by detail. That brings us to the point tonight where what I've delivered to you on behalf of the committee is the infrastructure needs study. This probably represents our greatest and most detailed research that's been done, pulling together a lot of missing pieces and trying to see the big picture. You know, frequently you can look at planning as a 1,000-piece puzzle, and do you tackle it with all the pieces in the box and try to build a planning structure from that, or do you build a frame around this whole community as to how do we tackle infrastructure? And we did just that. We tried to pull together all existing data that existed both at the state level, the local level, the regional level, and pull all those pieces together to build a framework as to where we need to head in the future. We work with great assistance from the Sewell Company, and I have to say publicly yet again that the Sewell Company has treated this community in an immensely positive fashion. They've gone overboard in delivering additional information beyond the scope of the project, beyond the scope of the RFP, the request for proposal, and the town greatly benefited from it, not only from the research that was done, but also from the doing it in a very fiscally responsible way. So this portion of our commitment with Sewell Company is nearly complete. There's still one or two other details that need refinement and aren't represented in this book, and they deal with some of our GIS planning. So let me weave together how this report came together. Under the guidance of the 2020 committee, we pulled together all the existing map work and found a great number of deficiencies in map work. And I promised our new town administrator that there'll be a series of new updated maps that he finds absolutely necessary to be progressive. So that's my commitment publicly to Gary, that we will indeed accomplish that.
maps are good.
Maps are great. Especially great are planimetric maps. Now, planimetric maps, what they do is they take human-made features and they start to lay them over important other physical data that exists in the community. For example, tax maps. We're now at the point where we have achieved a composite map with tax maps and planimetric data, that being cultural data, that being structures in the community, and have pieced those together. In that process, we've discovered that sometimes the lines don't line up. And so we'll remedy that over time as we discover where mistakes have been made in the tax maps or don't line up correctly. We'll begin to remedy those. So planimetric mapping was a component of this study, which led us to a final hurrah in getting one huge step closer to GIS, Geographic Information Systems. I want to report tonight, as a result of this and forthcoming studies, that we will be having an in-house training. Now granted, 4 hours doesn't make a GIS technician, okay? But what it does do is it helps us understand how we can use this valuable information. We've created a whole series of GIS layers based on information that we could put our arms around, okay? That's been accomplished. We also did, with some research and workings with the Water District, have pulled together what the water service area is, but more importantly, where are the future needs? And the discoveries that were made, in some cases, are a little bit shocking. As you read through this report, you'll find that we really need to bring an immense focus, in the next 5 to 10 years, an immense focus on where future water supplies are going to be and what future water service areas are going to be. Because they weave into all your future business planning and your commercial zoning and your commercial rezonings, because that infrastructure is an integral part of how you design a business park. And that's why East Waterboro keeps coming up every single time as being the area that is probably going to provide the greatest opportunity and the greatest assets in terms of new commercial tax rateables. So what this study did is it set up a matrix as to what are the criteria that you use when a community wants to set up a business park. Now, all business parks aren't created equal. And so let me break it into two pieces. Typically, when you have business development, it's linear, and it's typically along one of your major corridors. The 202 corridor affords a lot more linear lot-type development, but when one looks at doing a larger business scale, business park scale, or campus business park, then you're looking at larger assemblages of land, sometimes 75, 100, 150 acres. Because when you plot in your road infrastructure, your parking, and your subsurface systems, et cetera, it gobbles up a lot of space. The Sewell Company, again, under the guidance of the committee, went out and established its criteria for setting up a progressive business park in the community. Part of their responsibility was to come back to the committee and identify areas in the community that would fit into that matrix of variables. And they did come up with 3 areas which are in this study. One of those 3, 2 of them are private sector properties, and one of them is a combination of private sector and public sector land, the public sector land being the town's holdings off the Bennett Hill Road. And that's a significant piece of real estate that serves you very well as a transfer station and in other ways for mineral rights and gravel, et cetera, et cetera. But it also holds, according to the Sewell Company, members of your staff and certainly members of the 2020 Planning Committee. It's a great asset that needs to be looked at in a much more comprehensive way, potentially for a business park location. One of 3 that's mentioned in this study. So at the culmination of this report, there's a series of recommendations that the Sewell Company made. Those, I believe, start on page 26. And that was, Gary, part of the committee's promise that in the preparation of these studies, that it wouldn't be just goal-centric, it wouldn't be based, here's our goals, but be a bit more defined, and here's our action plans for the future. And then under the guidance of the committee, other committees in the town, the Water District, the Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, we should be able to pull together a new direction for how we want to bring business development to the community. So we're very pleased with the outcome The committee has reviewed throughout the whole process the work of the Sewell Company, and they did bring it to a vote, and this report has been accepted by the committee. As your staff person, I'm very pleased with the outcome. It was a good return on investment.
Now, if somebody from the public wants a copy of this, do we have public copies available yet?
Within the next couple weeks, we'll be having that in a digital format. We'll put it up on the website. We're short on hard copies momentarily, but we'll make up additional hard copies. We'll also keep one in the public library, as we do with all of our studies. But,
and I'm sure that there's some at Town Hall. If somebody wanted to at least come in and look at it, they could come in and see you.
Absolutely. I'm going to make sure that one's in Christina's hands. And also, I'll keep one or two in my office. I think we're down to the last couple copies, and we'll print up some more. Okay. And plus, we'll have it in a digital format within the next couple weeks.
Now, I know that there was some transition at Sewell Company with staff. So my next question is, with that, I know that there were some delays in getting a few things done. What's the status of the roadmap?
Okay, part and parcel of this study was a promise by the committee to assist the road review committee in doing a street map. Much to Gary's pleasure, he would very much enjoy seeing.
Driving me nuts. I don't have one.
Thank you. So. I would think that, when does the road review committee meet next?
A couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks. To give you a bit of a timeline, the Sewell Company that's making a composite of the data that the road review committee had collected has found some minor discrepancies, and they just want to get some clarity on that. So what I've done is created an Excel list of all of those discrepancies, okay, and I'll pass that on to the chair of that committee, as well as a copy to Gary and a copy to yourself, so that we can remedy these small discrepancies. Once those discrepancies are done, I would expect a map turnaround within 48 hours.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of the committee taking one more look at it, refreshing it, cleaning up the discrepancies. Then we'll go back to shop and produce it in hard copy as well as digital copy. Okay. And it will, in fact, become another GIS layer, one of the base layers.
Right.
Yeah. So it's near completion, but we wanted to remedy these questions that came up because it also has to be cross-referenced into the state GIS system, so that at some point in time, and I can't tell you exactly when this will happen, we'll be able to take orthoquads or aerial photography and the composite tax maps and other layers and overlay it. Right now, some of the street systems aren't lining up in terms of lengths and distances. And so those are some of the things that we need to clear up. Okay. So we're making great progress. It's, I appreciate everybody's patience. There was, Madam Chair has brought up that there were some changes at the Sewell Company. The Sewell Company is a huge company, and there were some, a couple months ago, some management changes, not only in the state, but nationally. And as a result of that, we have a couple new team members, project members, which incidentally we're very, very happy with. In fact, there's always a silver lining or a gold lining or a platinum lining, whichever your investments are, to everything. And as a result of this management change at the Sewell Company, we've benefited, the town has benefited by an extra staff technician that wasn't part of the team. So we have an even larger team that's contributing to the common good.
And when's the GIS training going to be?
September 10th, and we've decided that so it would be the least amount of disruption with our customers is that we'd start it Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. And so the training in-house, so we all don't have to cart up to Old Town, will be probably held right here. We have 5 staff members that have already signed up and are interested. And after that training here, we'll do a couple hours in the field. And the purpose of going in the field is to create yet another new layer, and that layer will be using some of Sewell's instrumentation to establish coordinates on all of the hydrants. So we'll come up with a hydrant map. That'll be good for the fire department as well as another GIS layer.
John?
I noticed on the recommendations on page 26, out of the 6 recommendations, 3 of them directly involve the water district. Maybe a copy of page 26 sent to the water district would give them an incentive to get a little more involved in the planning.
They'll get the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, to get the whole thing is great, but that page 26 really highlights them. It draws their attention to the need of their interaction.
Thank you, John. It's a great idea. We will get them a whole copy. We'll make sure that before this gentleman leaves town hall tonight, that he can be a messenger and carry these 2 pages back to the committee. Does that sound good? Yeah. When's your next meeting? 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, okay. But I'll make a copy of that so you can take it back and share it with your colleagues.
Appreciate it. Anything else, Tom?
No, just I want to thank the board for being so supportive in these types of projects. You know, this is going to unfold into the next layer of detail, and I'd like you to bring the Selectmen's focus to 26 and 27. And if you see that there are any specific things that the committee can do, because we're building our strategy in the next couple of weeks as to what our workload and assignments and tasks are going to be. If you see something that's really high on your priority list that you want us to tackle on behalf of the town and the selectmen, let us know. Okay.
Bob, I think.
I just wanted to make a comment that I think Tom deserves a lot of praise for the work that he did in the committee's behalf and in the town's behalf in dealing specifically with Sewell Company. As you know, they had some major changes in their structure organizationally. And Tom, in his diplomatic way, has used everything to the town's advantage and has really gotten us a lot more bang for our buck than I ever dreamed that we could get. He established a real good relationship with the staff people at Sewell, who have been just wonderful to us, all of them, even the ones who are no longer with them. And I think the end result of what we have and what we are still on the books to receive is going to be just a terrific asset to the town, and a lot of the credit for all of those things should go to Tom. He's really done a great job on behalf of our committee and the town.
Great job, Tom.
Yes. I'd like, first of all, I've said publicly in the past that I applaud the work that the 2020 committee has done, and the integration now of the planning board within that. And it's fortunate that both of you are here tonight. I do have a question that was generated from someone, a business person that I spoke with today, because as you know, we've been trying as diligently as possible to get people to be on the different boards, one of which is the Economic Development Committee. And the question that was raised by this particular businessman today was, while all these village maps and everything, look very nice, and all the reports and the studies that have been done, are certainly, commendable. What steps have been taken between, or by the planning board, I guess, in conjunction with 2020 to meld those things together? Because it seems as though the zoning isn't allowing for this overall plan of the town to bear fruit, because as far as the water lines and sewer lines and stuff that need to be brought into play, I guess there's some areas of the town that don't allow multi-story dwellings, multi-story business things to take place, and that's because of the limitations on the zoning. So I guess I'm just asking for a general feel, while I'm fortunate enough to have, both members of those committees present, to speak to what is being done to coordinate our planning efforts on the part of the planning board into the zoning so that we can accomplish those things that all this work has been focused towards.
Can I answer that?
Go right ahead, Tom.
Actually, we've taken our first run at that expanded village zone. We didn't come to agreement on it, but that's part of the next meeting of the 2020 in the planning board. But that's the next step. It's one thing to have the concept, but we're right on the cusp of putting all these ideas into practice and changing zones and changing zoning. And it's coming up. And I think that's the effect of having a professional behind the process. It's not just going to be a report. We've already started, and the reason for meeting with the 2020 committee is to firm up on how they see that zone changing, that village zone that we were just looking at, East Village. And from there, we're going to take it step by step and translate it directly into zoning changes. That's our plan right now. And that's going to be, a different way of doing things, but that's definitely our goal, is to take it step by step. And we estimate we have another year for the 2020 committee, and that's one of the goals in that year is zone by zone to look at what we need to change, and zoning in general, and changing zoning so you can have buildings that are multiple use, multi-story, reduce the setbacks, things like that. Something like what they're doing in Standish. What do they call those? Design?
Form-based coding.
Form-based. So it's definitely in the works. It's just a matter of making it work, sticking with it.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Any other questions on that? Or?
Gary?
I'd just like to say kudos to the committee and everybody involved, because most of these changes to your zoning happen after your comp plan update is done, and then you go into implementation. And this group is already ahead of the game by thinking and partially doing some of these things before the update is completely done. So bravo. I mean, this is good work with a very good company.
Yeah,
It's very valuable information to help us in the next decade. So I think you've done a great job, especially when you see things like that come out of the committee.
Next thing is to stick with it and make it work. So, thanks.
Anything else? All right, thank you very much. Moving on, Selectmen's reports. David? John? Gordon? Dennis?
Good.
All right. Move on to Town Administrator's report.
Giving me all the verbiage tonight, that's good, because I'm going to talk for a little bit here. I went to a very valuable meeting at Sebago Technics yesterday with everybody around the table, which helped me learn about this new line, water line addition to the school system. Maine Rural Water was at the table, our engineers, Dee LaBelle from the school, Jim Katziafikis, the attorney representing the district, John Vaccaro was there. I learned also that I'm not going to have to do a good chunk of this administration of this grant, which is wonderful, because if you've ever chased a grant like this and followed around and done all the Davis-Bacon wage bird dog work to see that the plumber is being paid a certain wage, the painter is being paid a certain, well, not a painter in this situation, but the excavator operator, that's an additional job I didn't need. So Alex Wong of Maine Rural Water is going to be doing this. PUC hopefully won't throw a wrench in their construction here, because they have to review these plans, but that can be going on in a 30-day window while the bids are going out. I signed a couple of permits for a utility placement and a highway opening permit, and the RSU staff will send checks with those to DOT accordingly, and that will be happening in the next week or so. I think everybody here knows that Dee LaBelle is retiring as of August 2nd. He's done work, and he'll be working with his replacement, Colin Walsh, for a week. As part of this program, this new water line is going to be 2 new hydrants that are required by the PUC because of the length of this extension. And obviously the town will be paying for those in their regular hydrant rental annual billing a year down the road. This CDBG grant is $330,000 in change, plus or minus, plus $100,000 local match, so well over a $400,000 project. Bid specs will go out hopefully by this weekend. Bids will be open the 13th of August in Town Hall. Bid plans can be picked up at Sebago Technics in South Portland, $75, which is fairly cheap as plans go. There'll be a mandatory bid conference, probably Monday the 5th, we're not 100% sure. Waterboro Selectmen could vote to award this bid at the August 20 or 27 meeting, and the board will be required to actually award that bid because the money does flow through the town. The public should know that two-way traffic will be maintained throughout construction. That was stated yesterday. That's part of the agreement with the contractor. Construction time will be estimated to be 3 weeks with good weather and without any ledge in the way, so no blasting or drilling. Changing canoes here, I'll spend a couple hours with Doug Folio tomorrow, starting to tour the town and new things from me. We should have our first staff meeting a week from today, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm supposed to bring the baked goods since I'm the new guy on the block. I'm going to a mandatory CDBG meeting all day this Friday, so I won't be around here this Friday. We have fire truck bids to be opened by me and whoever else wants to attend. The selectmen and the public are welcome to attend. 4:30 Wednesday, July 31st in Town Hall. And I signed the papers today to change the rapid renewal process so that customers will be paying for the processing fees rather than the town. And that should be happening, I would say, probably by mid to late August, but those fees will be coming out of the person using the credit card. That's it from me.
Okay. Moving on to new business, discuss vote to authorize a zoning change to expand the village zone to include map 25, lot 11. So we've had a presentation by the town planner, we have a recommendation from the planning board. What's would the board like to do with this?
Make a motion that we approve the zoning change as stipulated earlier.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, so we have a zoning change.
There you go.
All it hurt was just sitting through some of that discussion.
Moving on, next on the agenda is discuss vote on board and committee appointments. So in our packets this week, we have a couple of applications for committees. We have Kurt Clausen, who's reapplied to be part of the planning board. We have Sandra Jurgensen, who has applied for the community garden. We have those two.
I will move that we accept the applications of both of those people and appoint them to the two committees.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Next on the agenda,
Madam Chair, who's Sandra Jorgensen?
she's been on boards before. Yeah, it's a reappointment.
She just got her application in.
Oh, okay.
There are 3 others.
Yeah, that's the next item on our agenda. Discuss vote to establish the CDBG Advisory Board. This is a requirement of the grant for the water line extension. We need to have 3 members on that board, 1 representing the water district, 1 representing the town, and 1 representing the school district. We do have 3 applicants. We have Matt Sampson, who's been put forward by the water district. We have Frank Allen, who has applied to be a citizen member. And we have Ron Woodward, who's come forward at the recommendation of RSU 57. So it's the pleasure of the board.
I move that we, number 1, establish the board, and number 2, appoint Matt Sampson, Frank Allen, and Ron Woodward
Is there a second
as
to
the
that?
3 members.
Okay, so we have a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Next on the agenda, discuss vote to approve renewal of a malt, spirituous, and vinous liquor license for the Fraternal Order of Eagles at 1050 Main Street. This is a renewal, and in our packets, along with the application, we have the note from the fire department and the CEO that they have done the property visit and don't see any issues. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I move that we approve the renewal.
Second.
Any discussion? Gordon?
Whoever fills out the application, I think, needs to get with someone who can determine distance a little better than they have in here, because they state in the application that they're 2 miles from a church. We verified that one church is 0.65 miles from the establishment and the other is 0.61 miles. They're still within the legal allowances by law for having a liquor license within those parameters, but they really need to have their applications that they submit before us, I think, a little more accurate in detail.
So what happens if a church is built across the street from that? I mean, they've had a license for 20 years.
Well, if it's built across the street, then the law has taken that into account, that it came after the fact.
Okay.
Don't let the license lapse. Have to come back.
Right. That's
Well, with their system of measurement, even if it was across the street.
Well, maybe it was after a meeting or something.
So we have a motion and we have a second.
I would suggest that when Tina comes in to pick this up, that you just tell her they're gonna have to change them. Is it Tina?
So all those in favor of approving the liquor license? Okay. And Christina, again, just let them know that they need to have an error on their application. Next, moving on, under old business, we have nothing here. We have the minutes of the July 16th, 2013 regular meeting that needs to be signed. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved. Second. Third.
All those in favor? Okay. Pending decisions, we have discussed making policy changes relative to the use of social media. Gary, that's a discussion we had, and we said we were going to wait until you were on board and settled a little bit before we started work on that. So
Haven't even tapped that yet.
I figured you might be busy doing some other things. Town charter changes to establish a public works department. Again, that's
I did meet with Gary today and we started discussing that.
okay. The week's action list, we need to take care of the zoning change and notify the Eagles their license was approved, but they need a correction. Discussion of agenda items. So what do we have for next week? Who's coming in?
We have Brian Reeder coming in next week, and a public hearing on the GA ordinance amendments. It's the only two things that come to mind right away.
Okay. Is there anything that the board would like to see added to the agenda?
What did we decide on, who was the guy I mentioned wanted to come in?
Brian Reeder?
No,
Lee
Lee
Burnett.
Burnett,
Lee
and
Burnett,
he
okay,
is
that's
gonna
going
come
down.
in, what's the second Tuesday of August?
12th. 13th, yeah.
Yes, we're looking at the 13th for him to come in.
Okay.
All right. Items needing signature would be the minutes of July 16th, 2013, and the liquor license renewal. Reminders is Thursday at 11:30 at the Snowmobile Club is a senior luncheon. Also on Thursday at 7 p.m. is the Library Board of Trustees at the library. Saturday, July 27th at 8:30, the cribbage tournament is at the Old Town Hall. Monday, July 29th at 5 p.m., the Community Garden Committee is meeting at the Old Town Hall. Tuesday, July 30th at 6 p.m. is the Selectmen's meeting here at the Town Hall. August 1st at 5 p.m. the Conservation Commission is meeting at the Old Town Hall. On Monday, I think that's supposed to say Tuesday, August 6th at 6 p.m. is the Selectmen's meeting. The reporting will be the RSU 57. So with that, we'll take...
Just one other reminder that Senator King will be holding constituent hours here tomorrow.
2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Madam Chair,
No.
Yeah, it'll be the staff, his staff.
also a reminder that the Land Trust will be meeting at Bob Fay Park
Yes, the
tomorrow night
annual
at 6
meeting.
o'clock. And we're all invited. I plan on attending. If there's other selectmen that plan on attending, we probably ought to let Christina know so she can get something out as far as public notice if more than 3 of us show up for a hot dog, you know, there. So,
Why don't you just take care of that? Okay. So we'll take a recess for about 5 minutes and then we will have an executive session.
What did you do with that book?